Hey guys, how are you? It's Sabrina Campbell here, giving you another opinionated broadcast on when is the right time to start your cake business. Now, I understand that this is a sensitive subject for a lot of people because there are a lot of people right now that, have named a cake business, they've started a cake business out of their house. The rules are different in every single state, the rules are different all over the world with what you can do, how you can do it. Some people want a storefront, some people don't. It's very tempting to want to have your name on something. You start this hobby, you think it's really cool, you want to stay at home, you want to have your own schedule, you want to make some money, and you think, I got this great name, and I'm going to start my business, I'm going to be in my house, and I'm going to do this, and it's going to be awesome. Hi. Hi, Sachiko. And so you think, this is awesome. I'm going to have my business, and you get going, and you got a couple friends, and they pay you, and then, your neighbor pays you, and you just things are going well and you get excited. But here's the thing, it's not always the right time to start a business. And sometimes starting the business is not the first place that you should go. Now, I am not here to crush anyone's dreams. I am not here to tell anybody not to open a business. I think that if that is what your dream is, then I think you should absolutely, totally pursue it. But I think you should do it right. I think you should really understand what you're doing and really ask yourself why you're doing it. The reason is this. I see a lot of comments. I'm in a lot of cake groups. And most of the time I fly kind of under the radar, though, I'm trying to have more of a presence these days. So, I'm trying to be a little more vocal and kind of be out there and answer questions and help out. I think it's really important to help out, other cake artists that are out there and help them learn and grow. I teach a lot of classes out of my bakery. I teach a lot of beginning classes, and I help people get started and understand what to do in this crazy industry that we're in. I've even done some small business consulting and talked and had lunches with people who want to open businesses and try to help them understand, what they need to do to be able to open those businesses. But here's the thing. Not everybody who's good at something should open a business because not everybody has a business mind. The other thing is sometimes in your area, things are oversaturated. And you may want to go and find another cake artist who's got a solid business that they've built or that they're building and work for them. One of my biggest challenges as a business owner is finding really good cake artists that know what they're doing to come and work for me. And that's important because we get enough business that I can't decorate every cake that comes into my door anymore. I have to have other people to work for me. And so finding good quality people is important. We have a great team at Occasionally Cake. We have 4 cake artists, including myself, and we all work together. We learn from each other, we grow from each other, and everybody can hold their own, and everybody has different strengths and talents. And so we build each other up, and it's actually really great to be part of a team like that. One of the perks I give my people who work for me is every year I pay for them to take a class, like a learning class. So, the National Capital Area Cake Show comes to our town, and I give them the schedule and I say, all right, choose a class, go learn something new. Everybody takes a different class, and then we can come back and talk about what we've learned and, how can we sell those things that we're learning, in our bakery and so that we learn and grow. And as my business grows, I try to really give back a lot to my employees. And there are a lot of good employers out there. But here's the other thing. Many of you jump into a business too fast. You don't have, the skill set quite yet. You're still learning. The thing is if somebody calls you and asks you to make a cake and you don't know how to do it and you don't even know where to start and it's due in 2 days, then you've probably taken in a little more than you can handle. And you have to be able to step back and say, all right, there's still some learning that I need to do. There's still some things that I need to process before I can, move forward on this. You really have to stop and take a look, because the thing is that sure, we want to help you. We want you to do well. I want people to be able to go out there and have a business. Look, there's enough cake for everybody. But the thing is that it's very difficult when you're a business owner and you've worked so hard and you've learned and you've grown and you've practiced. I've got 10 years under my belt, 9 of owning a business, and I've really had to to work and learn and grow. And I didn't have a lot of the resources that are available now. And I think it's wonderful that you guys do have those resources available to you. But take a step back, take the time to practice and really hone your craft and really determine whether it is that you just want to be a decorator or that you actually really want to run a serious money-making business. Because those are two different things. I've had people work for me that tried to start a business from home, and they didn't like the business aspect of it. They didn't want to figure out how to find customers, trying to talk about money, pricing, trying to get people to pay a deposit. All of those things were daunting for them. And so those are the kind of people that are perfect to come work for me, because I let them solely decorate. My decorators just decorate. They don't have to run the front. They don't have to answer emails. They don't have to wash a lot of dishes. They have to wash some. I mean, we are a team. We're a team at the store, so, we have to make sure we do that. But, they're there to decorate. They don't even have to bake the cakes, by the way. My cake artists, they don't bake. So they come in, the cakes are baked for them. They get to torte them, fill them, decorate them, and that's what they like to do. And they get paid to do that. They don't have to worry about the rest of it. So, if you're at a place where you're trying to decide, should I open my business or should I not open a business? First of all, take stock on how much do you actually know how to do. Do you actually know how to run books? Do you actually know how to start a business? Do you want a storefront? Do you not want a storefront? Is this a hobby? Is this serious? If it's serious, how much do you want to grow, and what kinds of things are you going to put in place for that growth? I think that's really important. These are questions you need to ask yourself. And if someone calls you with a really random thing like, can you make me a cake in the shape of a rocket ship? Can you make them a cake in the shape of a rocket ship without having to, go online and go, guys, I have an order for a rocket ship in 2 days. I don't know how to do this. Sometimes people start and they get in a little too deep too fast. If you take the time to really learn and then start taking those orders, things go better. Because what happens is when you jump the gun, you don't do it well sometimes, and your customers get upset. It's not about making fun of you. It's not about, oh, that cake looks bad. It's just about you don't have the experience yet. When people come to me and they order a cake, and my cakes are not cheap, I don't undercut myself, and I don't undercut my competition either. It's because they're paying me for the experience that I have, not just my own experience, but the experience that I've hired in my shop. Collectively, we've got about 30 years of experience on my staff. You got to pay for that. And you got to collect that. So, when you're just starting out, sometimes you're not quite ready to start that business. By all means, do cakes for your friends, do some cakes that you can handle for money, to make sure you can have the money to buy tools. That's what I used to do when I first started out. When I did cakes for my friends, they would pay me and I would buy more tools, because to do our craft correctly, you got to have the right tools, and that costs money. So I would take the money, I would reinvest it and grow my business. But I knew that I wanted to grow a business, and I knew that I wanted to take it out of my home and make a storefront. And I put the things in place to do that. And so I really think that, as you're considering those steps, there are a lot of questions you need to ask yourself. If you do want to open a storefront, how much sacrifice are you willing to make of your time? Because when you run a store and you're paying rent and you've got employees and you're doing all that stuff, you've got to be there, and you've got to manage your people, and you need to, there's a lot more that goes into it. It's very exciting at the beginning. Oh my gosh, I can make cake. I'm really good at it. Let's open a business. Yes, yes, yes. Go, go, go. Take a step back, learn, grow, look around you, ask questions, make decisions, then go into it. I think if you do that, you will find yourself to be so much more successful, when you do that. So really think about, when you're thinking about starting your cake business, do I want to do this? And if you're not sure, if you're ready to start a cake business, look, send me a message, okay? Private message me. We'll talk about it. I'll ask you the deep and probing questions, and I'll help you figure out if that's what's right for you. But, it's really important that you don't go jumping into it all the time. Like I said, I know it's really tempting to put your name on something. You got this cute little name, and you got a logo, and you want to put up a website, and you want to do it. But, sometimes just make sure that you're ready to take that step. Make sure that your skills are where they need to be. And if they're not, Hire some people who do have those skills to supplement yourself and to also help you grow. And if you've got a good business mind, that's going to really help you too. So, does anybody have any questions out there? You guys have been really quiet. I see lots of hearts though, so thank you for my hearts. I love that. Does anybody have any questions or comments or anything that they want to ask, say, anything you want to hear? I love all your hearts. Keep tapping away. I really enjoy the opportunity to be able to connect with you people, to be able to connect with everyone. And thank you for Charmaine. Thank you for loving my cupcakes. All right, what questions do you got there? I had to swipe down. All right. So you're new, you're learning. Okay, so I started baking when I was a teenager. I used to grab cookbooks and start baking. My uncle actually owns a restaurant, so I worked in the food industry, got myself through college actually working in the food industry and learning about that. And so I started to really understand the chemistry and the science of baking. And so I was able to take that knowledge that I've acquired through the years and create my own recipes and things like that because I understand what I have to do. I worked out of my home for 2 years. And I actually did that legally. I went to my state. I'm in Virginia. And we go through the Department of Agriculture, and I got a business license and a tax ID. And I made sure that I did everything correctly because I didn't want to get in trouble. And I didn't want other cake artists in my area to think that I was trying to bypass the system. And then I found a location about 1.5 miles from my house, and which was perfect because at the time I had a 3-year-old and I was pregnant with my second child. And so I wanted to be able to come back and forth to the house and be able to be a mom as well as have my business. And so one of the deals that I made with my husband was the bakery needs to be close to the house and close to the preschool. So if I want to help at preschool or the babies need me to come home, I can do that really easily. And I could bring the babies home to him when he was done working so that he could be, that's the thing, you gotta have a good support system. I could not do everything that I do without the man that I'm married to right now. At what point did I decide that I needed to move into a storefront? So when I was staying up all night long and my kitchen table was ruined, my dining room table was ruined, my garage was full of cake stuff, and I was spending all day long Saturdays and Sundays waiting for people to come pick up all their stuff, and people were stopping me in the preschool parking lot for orders. I decided that I should have a storefront. Now, my husband has an MBA. He always wanted to own a retail location, and so he saw I was good at this. And so he wanted to invest in me, and so it gave him an opportunity to invest in me and in my talents and give me an opportunity and a forum to do, what I do now. And there are a lot of other, great tips. I mean, I could talk all day long about what it is to be a business owner, about the tools of success that I find in my market, the things that I find valuable. I actually have one store that I had 2 locations for a while, and I shut one down, and I could talk about that. So there are a lot of things, but I did not go to culinary school, no. I almost did. Thank you. Love you back. I did not go to culinary school. I actually looked into going to culinary school. There were a few skills that I wanted to be better at, and so I actually went and I investigated. And when I found out how expensive culinary school was, I decided that was way too much money for me when I was already paying for my degree that I was still paying for. So I decided that another 50 grand invested in my education when I was already starting a business was going to be too much. And so I used the knowledge that I had. I have a degree in communication. So I do all my own marketing, which is something that I've been very good at doing. I also hired a PR person for a time and had her doing PR for me as well, which was great in my local community. So, with the PR person and with my marketing experience and my right brain creativeness and my food experience and my uncle who's a chef and owns a restaurant, I had a lot of knowledge to pull from, and I understood a lot of the chemistry of baking. So I actually make a very good product, which people come back again and again for, which is one of, the secrets to my success. So, so I did forego culinary school, but I will tell you that I have 2 people on my staff that went to culinary school, and it's super valuable. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. We talked about it. My husband and I were like, okay, should I go to culinary school? Is this going to really help me? But he said, look, you've already got a business. You're about to open a storefront. You can't even handle that and going back to school. So, hey, Brazil, and you're welcome. It's my pleasure to share my experience with you. It's got a lot of ups and downs, and being able to share that with everybody is something that I like. I wished I had somebody to share some of those experiences with me. I am 37 years old. I hope I hope I look my age or maybe younger. Yes, I'm still paying for my education as well. So, hey, Australia. My husband's from Australia, from Perth. Hey, guys. And hi from Mexico. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Hablo español también. Mi familia es uruguaya. Nice to talk to you. Thank you for watching. It's just exciting to be able to share this with people who are interested in hearing about, a real life experience. I try to be very real, very honest, very direct. Perth is lovely. I've been twice. Yeah, that's the thing too. I had a business partner when I first started. You were talking about, hola Uruguaya, vamos Celeste. My business partner at the time, which I no longer have a business partner. I now run it on my own. She was working a day job, and she actually quit her day job to come work full time for our bakery, which was very scary because we had to supplement her income because she was single and didn't have, another source of income, and we needed her. Thank you. Somebody says I look young. I love that. And so we really took a risk having her on our staff because she needed to supplement her income or she couldn't quit her job. It is a huge risk to take. I would recommend that if you are going to open a bakery, that you make sure you save up enough capital, that you can pay your bills as well as the bills of the bakery. So it is actually, going to be quite a chunk of change to do it. And the banks aren't giving a lot of loans to small businesses right now. So it's something you need to finance yourself or find an investor to do. I was lucky. My husband works in sales, and so he had some commissions that he had earned, and he was able to take those commissions and use that to open up our first store. So we didn't really have to, we didn't really have to borrow money from a bank, which was really great. But not everybody can do that, and I completely understand that. So there are lots of different avenues you can go on, which I can totally periscope about another time. Okay, so what I look like when I'm hiring a non-schooled employee, and by the way, I have, right now I have a staff of 7, and only 2 went to culinary school. There are some things that I can teach some people and things that I can't teach people. I can't teach people to be enthusiastic, and I can't teach people to be creative and artistic. That's something that kind of has to come with the territory. What I can teach people to do are the skills and give them the avenues of practicing. So when I have a cake artist come to me, they will bring me a portfolio of some of the work that they've done. And I can tell by looking at their work if they can hang with what we're doing. So, I look at their work and I can see if their work is clean or what their skills are and if they can fit into what we're doing in the environment and the pace that we're doing. I also sometimes have them do a stage where I'll have them come in and audition. I will get to your question in just a minute. Recommend saving for store. I'll get to that in a second. But yes, so I have them come and stage for me, and I'll give them a cake order to do, and I'll see how they do on that order. That's for cake artists. If I'm looking for a baker, most of my bakers, I actually teach myself how to do the job. They're usually not culinary students, or they're culinary students that need an internship that start working as an intern for about 3 months, and then I keep them on staff until they get really, really good at it. And then if they want to transition to cake artistry, we talk about that. So I'm looking for enthusiasm. I'm looking for people who want to learn. And I am looking for some skill, I do need at least some skill in food or an ability to be able to create, especially for cake artists. I don't have a lot of time to train cake artists because we're fast paced at this point. So you kind of have to be able to jump in and be able to do it, and to be able to ask questions if you're not sure what you're doing, and so on and so forth. So someone asked about how many hours do I work? Hold on, I'll get to that in just a second. You, how much money you need depends on where you live, how much the space that you want is, and how many people you want to have work for you. You're not going to be able to hire a full staff up front. I'm going to tell you that right now. When I first opened my bakery, I worked 16 to 18 hours a day. Now I work on any given week, between about 40 hours. So I'm now at a kind of a normal full-time position. Whereas before it was insane. I would come home, I would be crying, I would climb into bed, exhausted, crying to my husband. I mean, I knew it was going to be a lot of hard work, and I was happy to work hard. I have no problems working hard. But I couldn't even imagine how much work it was really going to be. So now, I'm 6 years into my storefront, 10 years into being a cake artist. We celebrate our 6th anniversary. Thank you. We celebrate our 6th anniversary this month. So I feel a lot more settled in what I'm doing. Yes, legs and feet hurting. Yes, it took me 2 months for that to stop. I remember my first month of opening my bakery being on my feet so much, when I would sit down, even my legs would still hurt. Even after I'd be sitting down and I could still feel the pain. Nowadays I can be on my feet all day and I'm okay. Your body does get used to that. And I like that, that my body got used to that. Thank you for the congratulations. It takes a lot to get to 6 years, and opening a storefront. There's a lot of heartache that goes with it. But there's a lot of joy too. I mean, there's a lot of pride in watching what you build and the team that you put together. And yes, I am married. I'm married and I have 3 children. There's a lot of joy in watching what you've built, and watching the reputation that it has in your community, and watching, it's kind of like planting a tree. It grows slow, but as it grows, it gets stronger and stronger. And there's just a lot of good feelings that come from that. Oh, Cutter, nice, thank you. I'm hoping to do more of these. I want to do like 2 a week, on different things. And I'll give you guys a tour of my bakery next time. My next Periscope, I'll take you to my bakery. I'll show you the equipment I have, how I have it laid out. I'm quite proud of it, of where it's come in the last 6 years, and the things that we're doing. So we'll do that in a couple of days. Maybe we'll do that on Friday. I'll give you a little tour of Occasionally Cake. Yes, we will have a field trip. Right now you're just seeing my office. It's not that exciting. How do I protect my recipes? So I teach class. I don't give my recipes to people, but I do have people that work for me, and obviously they need to be able to have access to my recipes. And here's the thing. I have great recipes. And I love them. But here's the thing. Somebody else could potentially make, my cake. They could make a cake that was very similar to mine. They could make a buttercream that was very similar to mine. I asked them not to share it. I mostly trust, I do trust the people that work for me, that they're not going to go out and do it. And we make such huge batches that even if somebody left my employ and then wanted to do a home-based business, for them to break down the large batches that we make into small batches would be difficult. But at the same time, I also believe that when you make something, you put a little bit of yourself into what you're doing. And so, not every baker that I have always starts out being able to make my recipes the way they need to be made. I have to really train them very hands-on to be able to execute, what I'm doing. So it does take time for a baker. It takes my bakers about 2 to 3 months to actually to get there. Okay, mixers. I have 4 6 quarts, 120, and 160. And my 20 and my 60 have names, but I'll share that with you when I give you a bakery tour. I want to actually sell 2 of my 6 quarts so I can buy an 8 quart. So I can have an 8 quart, 2 sixes, a 20, and a 60. I make all my buttercream in the 60, of course. But at this point, I feel like I could go to like an 80, and I would still, need to do multiple batches. Because we make all of our own buttercream in-house, and we do all of our cream cheese, regular buttercream. We use American buttercream, by the way, just in case you're wondering. That's what my customers like. That's what I like on my cake. But we make chocolate buttercream, peanut butter, cream cheese, and regular buttercream. So that's what we do. And then we flavor our regular buttercream with lots of different things to change the flavors in our bakery. Anybody else have any questions? If you're in a saturated area, tough on finding a niche. Okay. So I actually am in an area that's fairly saturated. And I used to get really frustrated that there were all these home bakers that were advertising on these yard sale sites. But I learned after talking to many people that those people only really they can only really grasp a small percentage of the market for many, many reasons. They're not my real competition. A home baker who's only doing a couple of cakes a week is really not my competition. And I don't need to worry about them because, like I said, there's enough cake for everyone. I've done a lot of community service and giving back. I'm very, very prevalent in my community. Everybody knows who I am. Most people have heard of my bakery. We have a very good reputation. We've been featured in the news a lot. I've done a lot of local television here. So I have really worked on building my reputation and the quality of what I do. And there are actually some really good home bakers here that are licensed, that are really great. And so when I am booked, I actually send people to those people. And I know who the good people are in my area, and I do business with them, and they actually send people to me if they're booked as well. So I think it's very important to have a good relationship with other people that are doing what you do, because it only is going to enhance what you do. People are always getting married. I'm right outside of a military base. So we do a lot of promotion cakes. We do a lot of things like that. So there really is a lot of cause of celebrating, and you really, really want to have a good relationship with other people. I really have found over the years that it was my insecurity that made me feel like, oh, those people are going to take business away from me, because they're really not. They're just trying to make a few bucks too. And so long as they are doing it legally, I say, absolutely fabulous. Go for it. I love to meet them. And, if they decide that it becomes too much for them, then they should come and try to get a job with me. Because I'm always looking for good people to come and work on my team. So, I really do believe in perpetuating good relationships with other cake artists. And yes, competition is very healthy, keeps you on your toes. I actually go and buy cupcakes from my competition because I want to know where I stand. So I'll go out if I see a new place. I'm like, oh, I'm going to buy something from there. And I know where I stand with my competition. I know who's as good as I am. I know who's not quite as good. And I know who's better. And I think that that's really, really important. You always have to be learning and growing. The day that you stop learning and growing is the day that, you're not going to continue to succeed in your business. Because if you think you know everything, you're never going to be able to grow. Yes, I do have someone who answers my email. That is so important. That was killing me before. So I do have, I have a guy who's worked for me for 4 years. I knew him in high school. He's one of my best friends, and he works in my bakery, and he answers my emails, and he signs everything TMOC. That way anybody can jump onto the computer and answer if they have to, and it's seamless with the customers. They do have a little mailbox so that if there are things that I specifically need to look at myself, they put those emails in that mailbox and I can go and look at that. I have a database for tracking my clients' orders. We actually handwrite all of our order forms. We're still a little bit primitive on that. And then we enter them into a database. That way, when we have repeat customers, if they want to ask what flavor their cake was that they ordered last year, we can quickly look that up and be able to find that and let them, reorder that or something like that. Or also so we can reference how much we charged for a certain design, because we do get inquiries for the same design over and over and over. And so we're able to do that. Yes, lots of paperwork, lots. And I don't particularly enjoy paperwork anymore. But I will do it if I have to. I can do every job in my bakery. That's actually also very important. I believe in not owning a business that you can't jump in and fill in if you have to. There have been many a time where I get a phone call, somebody can't come in. And one time I remember I was ready to go out for Valentine's Day. I had my hair done, my makeup done, and my skirt and my cute clothes. And I got a call from the bakery that they were selling out. And they needed someone to come in and bake. And even though I was mad and I was frustrated, I threw my hair up. I went in, I put on an apron, and I started baking. And I made sure that I baked and caught up. And I never did get to go out to that Valentine's dinner that night. And so that's one of the sacrifices that you make as a business owner. The name of my bakery is Occasionally Cake. We are in Alexandria, Virginia. Thank you. Thanks, guys. It's a struggle, it's hard. I don't get the monetary compensation always that I want, but there's so much more that goes into owning a business. And I'm lucky. I have a husband who can pay our bills at home. So if I do run a payroll and that payroll I don't get paid, it's okay. We can still, make ends meet. And I think that's also something to consider, when you're doing that. To be successful, you will need to put in a lot of time into what you're doing. So do be aware of that. What's your priority? How much do you want to be there for your family? How much do you want to be at the bakery? Cookie business in Australia. Yeah, we actually do hand decorated sugar cookies also. We're fairly decent at it, but there are a lot of cookie artists out there better than we are. So I want to get some guest teachers coming into my bakery and showing me, where I could improve, because I know that there's a lot of improvement I could do. Yes, hubby support, and yes, he is the primary breadwinner in our family. Absolutely, 100%. I couldn't do it without him. But yeah, cookies in Australia, awesome. And what are the rest? Yes, Australia has an awesome cake game. I actually want to go out there and take a class with some of the masters out there and visit my in-laws while I'm out there. So my in-laws live in Perth, so I was thinking I go to Sydney, I take a class, then I fly to Perth, and then I can, expense it to my business. So, yep, there are some really fabulous cake artists out there. I do offer classes. I teach mostly beginners because there's a lot of saturation in advanced studies. So I teach 4 classes a week in my bakery. And I would love to come to Melbourne. I've definitely got to make it back out to Oz in the next couple of years, because my in-laws it's kind of our turn to go back out there. We teach cake decorating classes and cupcake decorating classes. And I do 4 of those a week, and they're usually about 10 people in each class. So I teach about 40 students a week. Oh yeah. Okay. You can come with me. I just can't pay for your ticket. So you can come with me, but you got to pay for your own ticket. So I do teach classes. I find that very valuable. I enjoy teaching. I'm good at it. And I like having people in my bakery. And I can certainly do a whole Periscope about that. Oh my goodness. That sounds dangerous. So Brisbane? Is that Brizzy? Oh, yes. Okay, if I come to Australia, I'll bring Liz Merrick with me. She's one of my cake besties anyway, so she's got to travel with me. We'd have a blast. Plus, she's a fabulous teacher, too. So, how do I tell customers they want more cake than servings justify? Okay, I often get those inquiries where I get a cake picture and they're like 4 tiers and they're like, I only need 10 servings. I will actually usually redesign that cake for them. Firstly, I ask them how much. Yes, I love Liz too. Liz Merrick is thebomb.com. Usually what I do is I firstly you got to gather all your information first. So they've sent you the picture. I want this cake. Okay, well now, when do you need it? How many people do you need to serve? What are the most important elements of this cake that you like? And then when I find that out, I break down the cake for them. And I give them multiple prices. So I'll give them a price for what they originally asked for and tell them how many servings it would be. So I'll say, okay, well, the cake that you asked for is, 100 servings, and that cake is $600 or whatever it is. And then, of course, they'll write back and say, oh, no, that's too much. I only need to feed 10 people. So I said, okay, well, for 10 people, this is what I can do for you. And I'll redesign it for them. Sometimes I'll even say to them, if they want it grandiose, but they only need to feed 10 people, maybe I'll do, but they say, oh, but I still want 3 tiers. Then I'll say, okay, well, then one of your tiers needs to be styrofoam, but it's still going to cost you the same for decorating. They don't pay the servings price for the cake, but they pay for the styrofoam, and then they pay for my time to decorate it, and that makes their cake look bigger. So there's a lot of different tips and tricks, but I think that's a whole nother Periscope on its own, for sure. All of my cake servings are the same size. I don't differentiate between weddings and birthday party servings. My serving is a serving. They're 1 by 2 by 4. And I use Erlene's cake serving chart. Actually, I've been using that for years. Generally what ends up happening is they get a little bit more cake than the servings I charge them. So and I always tell my customers that, my 6-inch, I tell them it serves 10 to 12, but I only charge them for 10. So that way they feel like they're getting a little extra, and so they're willing to pay, the prices that I'm asking. Anybody else have anything? Oh, hey, Fairfax. I'm Occasionally Cake in Alexandria near Mount Vernon. Maybe, hopefully you've heard of me. I don't know. It would be cool if you have. Anybody else have anything? I'm totally happy to do more Periscopes on other topics that you guys are interested in, especially relating to cake business or how we do things, or how you can do something. Stevens City, is that in Virginia? Manassas. Hey, you're in Manassas. My uncle owns the City Square Cafe in Old Town Manassas. That chef is my uncle. Only uncle I have. Awesome. Vancouver, Canada. Thank you. I do my own webpage. I actually use iWeb. So drag and drop. Love it. It's the best. Oh, thank you for following me. I love it. One of these days I'll tell you about some of tap the screen for hearts. Tap the screen. Torrance, California. You know what? I'm so excited about how many people I have all over right now. This is so great. Yes, transporting cakes. I can totally do a Periscope on that. I got into cakes. Do I follow up with past customers? Yes, sometimes. Sometimes no. If they were a pain in the butt, I do not. Let's see. Oh, there was a question I was going to answer and it's gone. Business name is Occasionally Cake in Alexandria, Virginia. That's one cake. Some people want to call us Occasionally Cakes. Long Beach, hey. Nice to see you guys. Sorry, I'm trying to remember what that question was I was asked. If you want to type it again, I'll try to answer it. Just a couple questions came at the same time, so I don't mean to ignore you. I want to make sure that everybody's questions are getting answered. That's the point of this, right? So we get together, we have a community, we talk about stuff, I answer your questions, we get to know each other. I love it. I do cakes, cupcakes. How did I get into cakes? Yes, I'll get to that. Okay. I do cakes, cupcakes, hand decorated sugar cookies, cake truffles. Those are the things I do. And I'm thinking about starting a line of eclairs. I got into cakes by accident. When I graduated George Washington University, I was 8 months pregnant with my first daughter. So I decided to stay home. I had a degree in communication with a minor in electronic media. So I wanted to be a newscaster. That was actually my dream. Before that, I wanted to be on Broadway. So I guess you could say I'm a bit of a performer. Yes, it is hard with the humidity here. I can do a Periscope on that too. And then my husband bought me a cake decorating class, a Wilton cake decorating class. Yes, I'm going to do a Periscope on transportation as well. I do email and phone, and appointments. So anyway, my husband bought me a cake decorating class. He knew that I was kind of creative and he thought it would be an interesting gift. And so he went to Michael's, bought me a class. It was very informative, but that is not how I teach class. I actually learned how I wanted to teach class by taking a Wilton class, which is not the way I like to take a class. I don't take a class where I have to do all of that prep. Beforehand, I want the teacher to do it. I'd rather pay the extra money and just show up and learn than have to make all my icing, all my cake, bring all my tools and all of that stuff. So no, I read the course description and I say, okay, all right, they provide all the tools, done, I'm there. So, Waldorf is great. So that's how I got into cakes. It really was this hobby that kind of by accident just took off. I'll tell my story one of these days. You want to learn from me? Yes, I hate having to drag everything to class. So I actually set up everything for everyone. You guys get to use my tools. You come in, I teach you, you use my tools, you leave, I clean up. So that's important. And yes, finding a teacher who knows how to teach and relate to students is really important. I like to be in the room with my students so I can see what they're doing, how they're holding their piping bag, what angle they're holding it at, so I can actually course correct as they go along. Sometimes being able to have somebody watch what you're doing. I'm a hands-on learner, very visual, so I like to be in the room with my teacher. Main questions for the order. It's kind of like a who, what, where, when, and why. What's the event? When is the event? Do you want to pick it up or deliver it? Do you want, how many servings do you need? Do you have any pictures of things that you like, things that you don't like? And then, when they send you a list of 55 things they want in a cake, then you want to edit those things, and really get to the heart of what's most important to those people. We get a lot of that with military cakes where people will send me a resume of their career and they're like, I want all of this on my cake. And I'm like, okay, that is a lot of stuff to put on a cake. So let's talk about what's most important to you. What is it that you want the most on this cake? And then we kind of, flesh it out and edit it at that point for those people. So it is very important for us to be able to really get to the heart of what the customer wants. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is not really talking to your customer and making sure that what's in their head, that they can communicate that to you. You have to be able to drag that out of them. So that's a skill as well, which we use for, wedding cake tastings and things like that. So, how to do a wedding cake tasting, how to be effective in that is, could be a whole nother periscope as well. We pride ourselves on being able to close a lot of wedding cake tastings when people come in, inspire confidence, in those brides and things like that. So I'm going to write down all these periscope ideas when I get off of this one so that I can, kind of put them out for you. Okay. Okay. Wedding cake tastings. I'm going to do a future periscope on that. Business name is Occasionally Cake. And I just missed a question before, which I'm sorry, I was about to answer. So please retype it if you don't mind. Yes, Occasionally Cake, Alexandria, Virginia, is where I am. Please follow me on Facebook. I have a lot of guest teachers coming, by the way. Kara from Kara's Couture Cakes is coming to teach Wafer Paper Boot Camp, and Wayne Steinkopf from Swank Design is coming to teach in October. Both of them are coming in October, so if you're anywhere in the area, come take a class at my shop. Word of mouth was a huge way that I grew my business, and a lot of social media. October for the classes. And then if you want beginner classes, I teach those all the time. I'm in Alexandria, Virginia. Kara is awesome. I'm going to try to get Liz out here. I'm going to also try to get Mallory May to come do cookies too. Do I go by the photo? Yes. Sometimes, I have customers that they'll send me a picture and they're like, I want that cake. And what I tell them is, look, my hands are different from that artist's hands. So I'm actually pretty good at copying. I hope that doesn't anger any cake people, but I'm really good at being able to look at something and know how someone did it and be able to replicate it. It's one of my skills. So I can get very, very close to what someone else did, but to have an exact replica, obviously, if I'm not the original artist, there's no way that I'm going to be able to make it exactly like that picture. So I tell them, look, I'm going to get pretty close, but I'm not that artist, so you're going to have a beautiful cake that you're going to be happy with. But sometimes people come with me with 4, 5, 6 pictures. And so I tell them, okay, you need to tell me what it is that you like about, this cake or that cake or the other cake, and then I'll design something for them from there. Did you ask the cake person if you know who it is? No, I actually do not ask permission. And the reason I don't ask permission is because if a cake artist has put their pictures online for other people to look at, it is up for the taking, in my opinion. I never take claim for the design. I never say, oh, this is my design, I made this cake. Never. And I always will credit the cake artist. But I do not ask permission. And I wouldn't expect anyone to ask permission from me either. If I post my pictures, go ahead and copy them. You know, and if you can do it as good as I can, go for it. I say, knock yourself out. If you want to give me credit, that's great. And if you don't, that's fine too. Look, I don't have time to track you down and create drama because you didn't credit me for a design. It really doesn't matter to me. Those are not things that I worry about. I just want to go out there, make beautiful cakes, and get paid. So yeah, so like I said, I will, if I know who the artist is or who the inspiration is, when I put it out there, I'll definitely credit them. And I never use anyone else's photos. I always use my own photos because I want people to know that what my skill level is, you know, what it is that I can accomplish. My Facebook page is Occasionally Cake. OCCASIONALLYCAKE. When do you know it's time to move out of your home? When your work and your home are crashing together way too much and you've run out of space and you've ruined your cake table or your kitchen table and your dining room table, and you never go to bed at the same time as your husband, and your stuff is full of cake tools, it might be time to move out. And you've got a good client base. I think it's a mistake to move out of your home before you establish a good client base. That's really, really important to do. So make sure you've got enough clients that are going to support and be able to pay your bills. Bills are important. Nobody likes to get sued. Just saying. I may or may not have a little experience with that. So, let's see. Yes, I think personal style does come. But I think when you own a storefront, sometimes that gets pushed to the side because you need to do what the customer wants. So the customer will come in. I mean, I cannot tell you how many Tiffany box cakes I've made. If I never make another Tiffany box, I will be happy. Yes, I have insurance. I have very, very good insurance. That's really important. Woo! Sorry, guys. Beetle. Japanese beetle in my house. So it is very important, to be able to, to do what the customer wants. So unfortunately, the only time you really get to see my style is when I compete, which I'm doing more of these days, or when I do a collaboration is really when I get to have my style come out. Oh, candy apples. Yum. You can make some really fancy stuff with candy apples. We enjoy eating those, but I don't sell them. They're kind of a pain in the rear end. And, they also don't last quite as long as you want them to. Not that cupcakes last a long time either, but that's, again, another Periscope. Oh, I love the fancy ones. Delicious. With all the extra stuff. And they can be very beautiful as well. Yes, they only last 2 days. You know why? Because the chocolate or the candy that you put, it's going to leach the sugar out of the apple. It's going to make it go mushy, and then you're done. Same thing with chocolate dipped strawberries. That's why I don't do them. I used to work for Godiva once upon a time, by the way, for 2 years. So I actually have quite a lot of experience with dipping things in chocolate. And I understand the shelf life of that kind of stuff. But again, that's a Periscope for another time. My very strange background of all the weird things I've done. Yes, when I participate in a collab, I do it under Occasionally Cake. I've only done one, but I am scheduled to do 2 other ones in the next year, if I have time. One of the things is when you own a bakery, there's only so much time that you can put to doing a collaboration or to doing something that's going to be free. It builds up your portfolio, but it doesn't necessarily make you a lot of money that's tangible, that you can actually count. So it's important to be able to, to decide, your time is money. So I do not have Craftsy classes yet. I am hoping to be doing some online classes, and when I do, I'll let you know. Collaborations, they are, it's when a cake artist usually will gather a whole bunch of their cake artist friends, and they pick a topic and they do a collaboration. So which means that everybody chooses a subject matter. I'll give you an example. I was in a collaboration called Sugar Myths and Fantasies. We have a Facebook page. Check it out. Where we all got to create, a piece that was a fantasy or a myth. So some people, somebody did a cute dragon, and somebody did fairies, and I did a piece that was inspired by an artist that I really like that does a lot of like fantasy paintings. And I kind of replicated his painting into a 3D cake. So, I loved that because I got to, yes, I can read Spanish. I'm not ignoring you. It's just a lot of questions coming in. So I'm trying to get them as quick as I can. I read, write, and speak Spanish. I'm completely fluent in both of those languages. And German, too, though I'm a little rusty on my German. It's been a while. Yes. If I see another question, the problem is the questions come and then they disappear. So if I can't read them fast enough, then I feel bad that I'm not answering your questions. But I totally am trying. I'm trying to answer all your questions. I don't know. Barely speak English. That sounds good. Someone else asked, but I was wondering if I did. Okay, cool. Bridal shows. Yes, bridal shows I think are good. I don't do the huge ones that are really expensive. I did one once. Guten Tag. I did one of the really expensive ones. I don't have a YouTube yet, but I will get one. I'm kind of new at this getting myself out there thing. Bridal shows. I did one of the really expensive ones. You know, the ones that cost you like $1,500 and then like they have like, I don't know, 200 vendors there and it's like this meat market and all the brides that show up to those generally aren't even getting married for like 2 years. Yeah, I did those and I got the same amount of work from one of those that as I got from the small local ones. So I do the small local shows, for example, Fort Belvoir near where I am. I like it. Glutentag. That's cute. So like Fort Belvoir, the military base that I'm right outside of, they do a small bridal fair every February, and we've done that one for the last 6 years. And we get as much work from one of those small ones as we get from the large ones, and they cost us a lot less money because I pay like $200 for the table, and then I do all my samples, and so it tends to be a lot cheaper for me to do those, and I get just as much work. I mean, if I get 1 or 2 cakes, it totally makes it worth it for being there because my average wedding cake is between $600 and $800 just for something fairly simple, and it goes up from there. So just getting a couple cakes from one of those is great. Yes, you have to determine whether that's worth it. And like I said, by trial and error, I've learned that the smaller shows are better for me price wise than the bigger shows. I let my customers pick what they get to taste. I have a wedding cake menu. I do not have a minimum. I do have a smallest cake I make. The smallest cake I make is for 10 people. And just for servings, that's going to be $45. So I guess I do have a minimum for $45. But other than that, I don't have minimums. I kind of cater to the mid to upper market. So I'm a little more affordable for most people, but I'm also not cheap. So I like to be in that. Maggie Austin is actually only like 20 minutes from my store. So she caters to that ultra high market and has a very specific style. But then I cater to people who can't afford Maggie Austin, but can still afford a nice cake. So I found that was a good niche for me, and it worked for me. So I can do very upscale, and I love doing upscale. But I also produce a lot of quantity. So, all right, have fun mixing cookie dough. I'm only going to just be on here for a couple more minutes, but I've got a lot of ideas for other broadcasts, and I'm certainly going to be back on and doing more broadcasts. Please feel free to follow me on Facebook and send me messages and chat with me. I'm going to give you guys a tour of my bakery next. Researching your area to see if it can maintain a storefront. We're going to have to do a Periscope on that. Did I choose that niche? The niche kind of chose me. I didn't choose it because I had Maggie Austin close to me. It just kind of worked out that way. I didn't want to turn away cakes because I had bills to pay. And so when someone comes to me, yes, I'm on Instagram as Diva Rix. But you can also hashtag occasionally cake and see some of my work and some of the classes that I do. So, punching a million fondant stars. I've done that. Do you know how many American flags I've had to make when you are right outside of a military base? We also just did the cake for the 240th birthday of the Army, which was in the Capitol building. So that's like kind of a kudos for my business. So our cake, a very large cake, was just displayed in the Capitol a couple of weeks ago. We had to go through 6 security checkpoints to get that cake there, but we were quite proud of that. You can see it on my Facebook page. We also did a cake for an Oscar winner. Hey, Army. So yeah. So thanks, guys. It was great talking to you. I could answer your questions all night, but I have to go to bed because, I have to work. So my Facebook page is Occasionally Cake. That's one cake. If you forget, you can ask Liz Merrick, because I bet you guys all know Liz, and she can tell you who I am. So thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you in a couple of days, and we'll do a tour of my bakery next, okay? So I'll put it out on my Facebook page and on some of the cake groups when I'm going to be periscoping, and we'll get this done, okay? So have a good night, and I'll see you guys soon. All right, now, how do I stop this thing? Swipe down to stop. Okay. Good night, guys. Thank you. I do personally do my social media. Instagram is Diva Rix, or you can hashtag occasionally cake. All right. Thanks, guys. Good night. Have a good night. I'll talk to you guys soon. Yes, Rix. That's me. Sabrina Rix Campbell. Rix is my maiden name. All right, I don't want to leave anybody stranded, so good night and thank you. Oops. What did I do? I totally don't know how to stop this. Swipe down to stop. I don't know how to stop. Oh, here we go. All right, I got it.